Gotta get the hell out.
Now, I'm on the hunt for Africa's biggest snake.
And he's gonna get away.
We'll find out if...
He could swallow you when he's fully grown.
He's pushing me off.
Yeah, that's okay. Just let him hold you. Let him hold your arm. You tell me when the blood stops. Just tell me. Yeah.
My name is Austin Stevens. I photograph the most dangerous animals in the world.
If I see any sign of movement, I've got to get the hell out.
Now, I'm on the hunt for Africa's biggest snake.
And he's gonna get away.
We'll find out if real monsters still exist.
It's closing on my neck. Let's go. Africa used to be full of giant snakes like this. This is the biggest snake we find on this continent, and they grow up to 5 or 6 meters long. It's the African rock python. You guys want to feel a snake? Feel how smooth and shiny it is. It's not wet and slimy like people often believe. It's actually very nice to touch. You can all touch him. You can all come and stick your hands out. And if you want
Take it from me, this rock python may look scary, but he's been reared in a snake park, and he's a baby compared to some.
If you get a big snake and he curls around you, he could constrict you so powerfully that you can't breathe, and then you'll die. It's one of the few snakes in the world that have the potential to swallow a human being. It's actually big enough to eat a little kid like this. He could swallow you when he's fully grown.
He's pushing me off.
Yeah, that's okay. Just let him hold you. Let him hold your arm. You tell me when the blood stops. Just tell me. Yeah. Take pictures of that. He's doing it all by himself. I want everybody around to say goodbye to Peter Python. 1, 2, 3, camera.
Believe it or not, this is what I used to do for a living, performing in snake parks to educate people about these wonderful animals. In those days, large pythons were not difficult to find, and their preferred habitats were abundant. Rock pythons take over 20 years to reach a full size of around 5 meters long. They need somewhere with plenty of food, and well away from their main enemy, man. Today, these places are few and far between, but I know a remarkable location that was once home to some of the largest pythons in Africa. Now I'm heading back. My assignment is to see if these real monsters still exist and get the photos to prove it. I haven't visited this area for over 20 years. It's a place called St. Lucia in northern Zululand, one of the last and most remote areas of southern Africa. Running down South Africa's east coast, St. Lucia connects tropical Mozambique with the cooler south. Its range of habitats means more animals live here than anywhere else in the country. So the road in is always full of possibility. One of the best ways to find snakes is to travel the tar roads, especially at dusk and especially after rain. You'll find snakes lingering on the road, even pythons, and they stay just that little bit longer because it's nice and warm, and that's your chance. That's when you can find them and catch them. But this isn't anything like the place I remember. This used to be solid dukkha bush on both sides, right up to the edge. No houses, no people. Now I'm seeing people walking along the streets. I'm seeing houses all over the place. A lot of the forest has been taken down. It's quite depressing. I need to keep going and find somewhere well away from people. So as night falls, I continue on. There's something on the road. It's a snake. I can see it. It's a snake. Hey, get him off the road. Get him off the road. Wow, look at this. This is a file snake. It's a big file snake. Let's have a look at this guy in the light. Look at him. This is a very unusual snake. It's unique. It's a lovely snake. It's not venomous. That's why I'm handling it so easily. The thing that makes the snake so different from any others is the scales. And if you look along the pattern, especially along the ridge of the back, it's a very coarse row of scales going all the way down there. It's actually hard, like a file. The scales on the side are separated, so that you can actually see the skin in between each scale, again, making it look like a triangular file. And the body is very coarse. Even more interesting is the fact that these guys eat other snakes, and they eat venomous snakes and non-venomous snakes. The reason is that this snake has a high resistance to the venom of all other venomous snakes in this area. So he could, in fact, grab onto a cobra, bite the cobra. Cobra will immediately turn and bite him as well. It happens very often, but he will not be affected by that venom. And he will slowly work his jaws around till he gets the cobra over the head and actually swallows him down. It's amazing. Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't he a wonderful snake? Look at that. He says, I wonder who's this guy. I've never seen this guy before. You see him on TV. You must watch every now and you'll see something. I'm fooling around now. I'm going to put him in the car and take him and release him where he's safe. If I want this file snake to survive, I've got to move it away from the main road. There you go. Aren't you beautiful?
Is it okay okay to eat avocado every day?
Avocado.
Still, it's just as active as he was when I found him. And you're gorgeous. It's such a nice feeling when you rescue something from a potentially dangerous situation and then you let it go. Off you go, away.
All those people and just one snake. I'll have to try a different tack tomorrow. Next morning, I discover there are still plenty of people about. But I have a plan.
So much human activity around here. I've just got to get away from it. I think the best thing I can do is head further into the St. Lucia Park. Considering all the kit and stuff I've got and the difficult roads, I'm probably going to do best in my canoe.
My plan is to head up the narrow channel connecting the Indian Ocean to St. Lucia's wild interior. Few people come here, and for good reason.
There's just one thing about canoeing these waters. You've got to be very, very careful and keep an eye because there's big hippos in this water and a lot of big crocodiles.
This estuary is one of the few places in the world where hippos and crocs share the water with sharks. The marsh on either side is almost impenetrable, protecting this wilderness from the outside world. But even this place has changed since I was last here. A long drought means the river hasn't reached the sea for 7 years. But soon I reach the beautiful waters of Lake St. Lucia, and an isolated corner of Africa, just as I remember it.
You hear that? Vervet monkeys. Just in the jungle, they're calling. It's an alarm call. It could be anything. It could be a leopard, but it could be my python. It's worth having a look.
It's not always easy to spot snakes, so it helps having friends in high places.
There they are, monkeys up here. A lot of them, and they're chattering away. There's something here. Here's what the monkeys were going on about. It's a forest cobra, and a big one too. He's climbing up the tree. There he goes. These guys are unusual and slightly different from other cobras in just that fact. They like to climb trees, and they get away really quickly if you don't catch them. And monkeys consider these guys very dangerous, so that's why the monkeys were calling like that, and rightly so too, because it's a highly venomous snake. Neurotoxic venom, just like all the other cobras. Come on. There, got him. I've got him. I've got him. He's a big boy. That's fantastic. Oh, look at my back. Forest cobra. Got to get a camera. This snake is found only in this area. It's unique. And it's the biggest cobra found in Southern Africa. Look at this guy.
Its venom is extremely potent. A single bite could paralyze and even kill me.
Giving a little bit of a hit. I'm getting a bit of a hoot. He can stand a lot taller than that. He's beautiful. That's it. He's thinking about fooling with me. I want to get a real close-up while he's doing this hoot for me. This mustn't get him striking at my hand. If I keep very still, very calm, go right in there. Oh, that's it, a high hoot. Look how high that hoot can go. He's just warning me. Just warning me. Isn't he gorgeous? He's so gorgeous, eh? How gorgeous are you? Hey, are you wise? Yeah, he's just giving me a warning, eh? Look at this boy. That's a nice boy. I just love to do that. I've got to touch a cobra. When a cobra makes a hoot, you've just got to feel that hoot. I just keep wanting to photograph. That's the problem. I get addicted to this. When do I see another forest cobra? I just want to take a few more. All right, that's fantastic. I'm going to let him go. He's been so good. He's been so good. Okay, that should do it. Tricky bits now just to get to his tail. Nearly got him. There. I got him. Okay, let's put him right here. Bring him down here. You going to climb? You can get away now. Isn't this a wonderful snake? Yeah, that is. Just giving me a little warning. Okay, looks up straight away. Says, oh, that's the way out. Fantastic snake. Fantastic shoot. I love it. Off he goes.
And so do I. The forest cobra is only a third the length of a rock python, and not half as aggressive. But it tells me I've made it to big snake country. The question is, are conditions here right for giant pythons?
Such a lot of forest here and such a lot of water. I mean, I'm seeing game trails and I'm seeing some game prints, but they're not a lot. I thought there'd be more. I thought animals would be coming to drink here. And that would be an ideal place for pythons to be, right on the edge of the water over here. There's quite a lot of water. It's pretty wet. It's not easy to see the tracks. So anything could be in here, though. This is the thing. You just don't know. I mean, there's so much game around, but this bush is so thick. If they come from the water and they move into bush, I wouldn't even know if there's something in there.
The biggest pythons rely on a steady supply of food, anything from rats to antelope. My plan is to find somewhere these prey animals congregate. Usually that's by water, but I'm finding a surprising lack of tracks around the lake.
Oh, that's really salty. Much saltier than I thought. I thought I'd get a lot of animals coming down here to drink and maybe they would attract pythons. But no way, this lake is very shallow, a lot of evaporation. It's very salty. I'm more likely to have luck back in the forest.
The lake is too shallow to paddle any further, so I head inland to set up camp and weigh up my options.
I've picked this time of year because it's just getting cooler now, heading for the winter months. Most pythons are going to be holding up right now. And this is good because in the mornings when the sun comes out, they'll come out and bask. And that's my chance to find them.
So I'll be up with the sun, hunting for pythons.
Beautiful family of kudu down there. I'm sure they don't drink the water, it's too salty, but they probably eat the grass around the edge. I haven't been here for like 20 years, so I'm sort of trying to get the lay of the land. My plan is to move inland, follow game trails, find anything that might lead me towards a python den.
I've got a few key areas in mind. It just depends how much things have changed. First, I'm going to check out the swamp behind my camp. If that's no good, I'll head north to an area of grasslands and forest. The swamp immediately looks promising. The lush vegetation tells me the water here is fresh. And with fresh water in such short supply, there's a good chance hungry pythons will come here.
Beautiful expansive water. Perfect place for pythons. Animals always congregate around water. And pythons are not afraid of water. They love water. They'll sit in the water and they'll sit in the water for hours. Any little animals come down to drink and pythons close by, he's got a chance of grabbing and feeding on him. Also take water birds. Anything that's moving around this water, always a good place to look for animals around water. A lot of animal tracks. Animals obviously coming. Oh, there's a young python here. That's fantastic. I knew it. There are pythons in the area. But I don't want to go too close. He's lying as if he's camouflaged there. He's hoping that I'll go right past. He knows I'm here. But he's hoping I'll go right past. He's perfectly camouflaged, perfectly blending in there. See that? Look over here. He's actually swallowed something. See that? There, you can see clearly. The bulge in his body over there. I don't want to go too close. The snakes regurgitate their food if they get upset. And this guy's just waiting. He's lying dead still. He's either going to take off like a shot, or he's going to turn and strike at me. But if he gets rattled, if he gets upset, he's going to regurgitate it. Snakes can do that. They get upset, they regurgitate their food, and they make a break for it. So I don't want that to happen. If you look to the left, you can just see how thin the body is there. Along there, there's the big bulge here where the food is, and the body gets thinner again over there.
A large meal can take weeks to digest and could sustain the snake for many months.
He's much smaller than what I'm looking for, but it's really nice to know there are pythons in this area. I'm going to leave him just like that. That's great news. There are pythons here. The thing is just to find that big one.
The marshy ground and dense vegetation are ideal for pythons, but it makes snake hunting tough. After a day spent searching the swamp, I only have the one small python to show for it. Time to consider Plan B.
Not having much luck between here and the...
Are you wanting to start a business built on Christian principles? This is a great thing, and anyone drawn to that should pursue that with passion. Hey everyone, Paul Bacco here, owner of the Christian Business Incubator, where we've helped over 900 Christians in escaping their 9-to-5, their 40-40 plan, dead-end businesses, dinosaur businesses, or even great positions where they just felt like they were capped out in their ability to contribute and operate in the fullness of God's promise of wealth and covenant blessing, and who've created a self-sustaining income for themselves. I'm going to show you how we've been able to start 10 businesses, 3 of which were 6 figures. The last few have been 7 figures, and how you can start your first or next business without having to learn all the very expensive lessons that I've had to learn the hard way. So let's get right into it. I first started in business close to 20 years ago, and my biggest goal was to be my own boss. I didn't like someone else telling me when I had to show up, who I had to spend time with, or what work I had to do, or what things I had to keep my mind focused on, when I could take lunch, when I could go to the bathroom, who I had to associate with. I didn't like working in a company that I didn't know where their value basis lied. I didn't like working in a company that I was making somebody else wealthy, and that person could be supporting things that I don't believe in, that were not kingdom things. And I also disliked being told how much I was worth or how high I could climb. And I've pretty much been unemployable now for 18 years now. I don't own a Ferrari or a Learjet, but I'm okay. I wake up when I want, I go where I want, I do what I want, when I want, period. I wouldn't have to work another day in my life and I'd be A-okay. I do this business, this incubator is my ministry, because it wasn't very long ago now, I mean it was 20 years ago, but it still feels like yesterday, that I was broke, almost divorced. We've been married now happily over 20 years. And I remember I could not afford a $3.25 matinee. And I sat in my old Honda Accord, bald tires, dull paint, beat my hands on my steering wheel, hot, salty tears coming down my face. And I'm like, Lord, there has to be a better way. I see in your Bible where it says, beloved, above all things, I wish that you prosper. Where it says in Deuteronomy 8:18, I give you the power to create wealth to establish your covenant. And so I went on a mission, and I got my freedom. I earned it. Wasn't cheap. It didn't happen quickly, but the job got done. And now I'm on a mission to help equip other Christians, because I believe in our culture today, we need more financially independent people that can rise up, that can take care of business, that aren't submitted to the world system and policies that we don't agree with. And for goodness sakes, man, if people can get fired up and parade and put up signs and loudspeakers about all kind of crap that I don't agree with, that in my opinion doesn't align with the Bible, then I think that more Christians should rise up. And the biggest thing that I see right now is that people are focused on the finances, and that's a constraint or a bottleneck. And you know, we're his ambassadors, right? We're supposed to be his billboards, right? How effective is the United States ambassador to Argentina if that person, you know, had jeans with holes in them, or shoes that were scuffed up, or that drove around a beater car? No, part of the blessing is wealth, because that's attractive to people that don't have it. Now, that's our job. We need to rise up. Now, not everybody's been called to business, but my goodness, if you have been, typically that correlates with you have a giving heart. You want to give. Well, guess what? To give a lot, you've got to receive. And if God can get it through us, he can get it to us. He wants us to be pipelines of blessing into the ministers, the ministries, the projects, to rescue the trafficked, to feed and give nutrition and water to the thirsty and the sick and the hungry. That's our job. That's what we're called to. So the devil wins when Christians become comfortable. The devil wins when we have enough for me and mine. That's not what we're called to. We're called to more. We're called to the community. We're called to sowing. So once I started to learn this, I started to get the desire to make more of an impact. You know, the new Rolex was cool, right? But the excitement of it wore off in about 3 seconds, okay? And for a while, I was servant to the dollar, and then I became free. My desire went from the house, cars, the materialistic stuff, to something deeper. And the Bible is very clear. It says we're taught that it's more blessed to give than to receive, okay? But when I was broke, my giver was limited, at least financially. That's when I started poking around with this business thing. For a long time, the business owned me. I was the tail, not the head. I wondered, what would happen if I renewed my mind a little bit? How can I learn to be the head and not the tail of my business, to generate the max ROI with the minimum effort? So instead of working 30, 40, 50 hours, I built it to basically remove myself from the equation so I could fully buy my time back, and I'd have a machine that operated without me needing a lot of my time. Obviously, it's a work in progress. You can't go from nothing and walk down the sidewalk and get whacked in the head with a business that operates without you. But eventually, if you have the proper architecture and structure and business model and mindset and mentoring and model, then you can build something that works without you. And that's truly the definition of a business, a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without me. And I'll never forget the first time we tested this. About 15 years ago, I was reading The 4-Hour Workweek and the E-Myth Revisited, and I said, you know what, let's test it. So my wife and I took a month off. We took like a 2-week cruise, and then we spent a week on Playa del Carmen in Mexico, and we just chased each other around and had fun. And I spent, I think, like 15 minutes the entire month on my business. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing is incredible. I made more that month than most people make in a year, and I learned the power of the model and the proper architecture, because business is a means to an end. Business is not the end. Just like Bruce Lee talks about, his magic punch was he focused beyond the target. That's how it created the force, his 1-inch punch. That's the same thing with business. We don't get in business to be in business. We get in business so it's a tool to buy and acquire back our freedom, our time, our money, our reliance upon the world system of bad debt, right? Consumerism. And to get out of that and exit that. We're in the world, but we're not of it. Therefore, we're supposed to be operating on higher principles. And that freedom of finances, of debt obligation, of being the servant, allows us then to, allows our minds to clear and be free of all the thoughts and crap of the world system. So we can, what does God say? He's a still small voice. He's not in the thunder. He's not in the lightning. He's a still small voice, right? But if we have 15 voices competing with that still small voice, then it's very difficult. He also says, be still and know I'm God. So there has to be a stillness. So I believe that we need to be able to clear our mind of all the dependencies, be financially free and economically free, and then we can fully operate in God's plan for our life, because he's the one that gives us the desires of our heart. So that desire you have to support the ministry or the minister or that thing, that's from him. And you ought to be pursuing that with all you got. And I promise you, you'll wake up with a spring in your step, a song in your heart, a smile on your face, and a twinkle in your eye, and you'll never work another day in your life. That's God's plan. So once we learned about this, then my wife and I were free to serve wherever he would lead us. I started analyzing business models, and I've reviewed over 150 of them. I noticed that some business models were super complicated, where I'd need to spend like hours, weeks, or months just to learn a thing. I need to have like a Mensa level IQ. And you know, I probably have a stroke in the process. So I thought about hiring a coach or a mentor or buying a course. And I tried that just to get, just to get let down most of the time. Then I went the DIY route. I searched Google and watched YouTube until my eyes fell out. But I realized that I was even more confused than when I started. You know, person A said do thing 1. Person B said do thing 3. Person C said, no, don't do either one of those. Do this other thing, right? And then I started to realize that these promoters typically were selling products, or behind the scenes, they get with their internet buddy and they would do joint ventures. So I found myself, I'd sign up for John's information about John's program, but next thing I knew, John's talking about Larry's program, and then Mo's program, and then Curly's program. I'm like, what the heck? Like, I want to know about John's program, not this other crap. And then I learned about affiliate marketing and how these guys would get together and they would do these joint venture things, and their whole mission was to make money. Their whole mission was not to serve their people. And that's what the Lord showed me. He's like, listen, you have got to put your members, your customers first. That's a kingdom principle. That's the golden rule. Do unto others as we would have them do unto us. And it's got to be the foundation of any business model that we launch into the marketplace. That's a kingdom business model, right? So I learned that there was these crazy business models, and then I learned that there was these really solid evergreen business models. And I learned the hard way that the economy changes, the marketplace changes, the politics change, which can ping pong over the effectiveness of a business model. I had to learn that the hard way. I had a business that pulled out from under my feet because the world changed in the middle of it. And those were some very expensive lessons. All the while, I was building a mental checklist of must-haves that for the optimal business model to operate without much of my focus, deliver maximum value to the marketplace, be simple, be scalable, be machinable, be leverageable, and remove all these bottlenecks and constraints that were present with all these other business models. Here's what I found, a couple things. Number 1, has to be evergreen, which is not subject to change, not dependent on seasonality or politics or the economy or pandemics. Not subject to change, evergreen. I don't want to learn something today that decays tomorrow and I got to learn something new. I don't want to be involved in such a highly competitive with other businesses or technology that my knowledge base just drops because things are new all the time, new apps, new technology. I don't want to mess with any of that stuff. I had that with an e-commerce business, and literally we were stroking out because things change so rapidly and so quickly. I don't want any of that mess. Number 2, it has to be relatively simple, meaning it doesn't take a Mensa level of IQ. I can't have to hire multiple high 6-figure people to work in my business. I don't want that constraint. I want to be McDonald's. McDonald's is a multi-billion-dollar business based on basically a lot of teenagers that can start there. And they have such clear and elegant systems that anybody can work them. That's what I want. That's a scalable business. Number 3, it delivers incredible value to customers long-term. This is really the most important one. But it has to deliver value to all parties, and it has to deliver not just marginal value, it has to deliver maximum value, and that's what we do. Number 4, it repeats with excellence. It's systematizable. And number 5, it could not be supply chain dependent, because who in the right mind would compete with Amazon and Jeff Bezos? I mean, that's nuts. Again, I mentioned one of my 7-figure businesses was an e-commerce brand, and I just realized, like, I'm a moron. Like, why am I competing with multi-billionaires that can sell product at loss and just wait for the competition to dry up. His scuba diver approach, he talks about it in his annual shareholder letters. So, and then I discovered a business that blew my mind. I got my wife involved. Now we're getting our 14-year-old involved. It's awesome. It provides some serious ROI horsepower, runs on about 10 hours a week. And I put together more of my observations into 3 keys I've had to learn the hard way into a manifesto. This is a step-by-step walkthrough demonstration of how the business works. And look, there's no opt-in required, okay? It might be of interest to you if you're a Christian looking to start your first or your next business, if you're looking to escape the rat race, if you're looking to escape the cubicle city, the 44-hour plan, if you're looking to escape the gap or the delta between where you are and where you believe God wants you to be, if you're looking to be able to fully pursue those dreams that God gives us the desires of our heart, if you're looking to be able to fully embrace and passionately chase that, this could be interesting for you, okay? If you're skeptical, listen, I would be too if I was in your shoes. You should have a healthy skepticism, okay? There's a lot of hucksters out there. But here's some people who were literally once in your shoes and took action, so check it out.
When I discovered CBI, it was an answer to my prayers. Not only is it an amazing business model that works, it also will change your life on a personal level. I learned how to become the head and not the tail, how to control my business and not let it control my life. I highly recommend this program, and I hope you join the CBI family today.
And with that, Crystal was able to stop working, and now we're pursuing this full time.
We definitely recommend this program to you if there's been a stirring in your heart, just a longing for more, knowing that God has made you for so much more than maybe your current situation is. So we'll be behind you. We are praying for you all the way. God bless.
All these people got amazing results through our program, and now you can too. We'll give you a few more seconds. Click the link to check out the manifesto, and I don't want you to miss out. Have a blessed day. We hope to hear from you soon. And listen, if I can do it and we can do it, you can do it too. God bless.
Is injecting hyaluronic acid the key to age-defying skin? In short, yes, but quick results tend to fade quickly too. Having small quantities of hyaluronic acid injected into the skin to soften the look of facial lines and furrows does offer immediate results, after the initial redness and swelling wears off, of course. But even when injected, the body breaks down hyaluronic acid, driving most women who undergo such procedures to have to repeat them, sometimes as often as every 3 months. Financially, that can really add up. So what about hyaluronic acid in creams and serums? Sure, when applied correctly prior to a cream or oil to seal it in, hyaluronic acid can help your skin feel smoother and more hydrated, in the short term at least. But if you really want to target common aging signs such as wrinkles and sagging skin and help slow future aging signs from appearing, there's one simple at-home thing you can do without buying one more cream or visiting the doctor.
Hi, my name is Dr. John Lakey, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal what's really making these so-called super agers look so young. And the one anti-aging scam you should never fall for is if you're a woman who's currently between the ages of 35 and 89, I encourage you to pay close attention, because I'll also show you a scientifically proven way to help transform your own appearance just by doing one very simple thing every morning. And no, it has nothing to do with skin creams or cosmetic procedures, nor does it require any type of fancy gadget. It's something you can do right at home in less than a minute. You see, the method I'm going to show you actually stems from a scientific discovery that was made many years ago. But most women still don't know about it because, well, for one thing, it's not exactly profitable for the commercial beauty industry. And second, it initially was believed to only work for men. Now, I'll talk more about that in just a moment. But let's just say this assumption was definitely false, because I have concrete proof that women who do this daily tend to look years younger than their peers who don't. Literally, their skin looks significantly firmer, tighter, and less droopy. They appear to have far fewer wrinkles, and their complexion practically glows with youth and vitality. So I highly recommend that you try it for yourself once this video ends. But in case we haven't met before, allow me to briefly introduce myself. Again, my name is Dr. John Lakey. Many people will recognize me as the co-founder of the world-renowned Beverly Hills Plastic Surgery Group, where my partner Dr. Payman Danielpour and I have been treating some of today's biggest stars for over a decade. Or from my appearances on TV shows such as The Doctors and Entertainment Tonight, where I'm often interviewed about the latest corrective procedures. But even though I'm best known for my work as a plastic surgeon, I've also dedicated a large portion of my career to searching for ways to defy the signs of aging without knives or needles. In fact, my research in the field of youth restoration has been published in leading medical journals all around the world. However, the simple technique I'm going to show you today has never been revealed prior to this report, because once I discovered it, I knew I had to share it with the public directly. So I couldn't be more excited for the transformation you're about to experience. But first, let's get back to our super agers. You see, I first started looking into this phenomenon after a chance encounter with two very unusual women at my clinic. Well, it wasn't exactly by chance. The first woman, let's call her Linda, had scheduled a consultation with me several weeks prior to discuss some possible treatments for sagging skin and wrinkles, so I already knew she'd be coming in. What I wasn't expecting, however, was for her to arrive with her grown daughter in tow, or at least that's who I immediately assumed the woman with Linda to be. But when she finally introduced us, I was speechless. "Oh, this is my sister Joanne," she said casually. "Oh, she's visiting in town this week, so I figured I'd bring her along. She's always wanted to see what a plastic surgery clinic looks like." Wait. I thought, this was a lot to process. Joanne looked about 20 years younger than Linda. So either there was a significant age difference between the two, or Joanne had definitely spent her fair share of time in a plastic surgeon's office before and was just trying to convince her sister otherwise. At any rate, I guess I wasn't able to hide my confusion very well, because Linda's smile instantly disappeared. "You thought she was my daughter, didn't you?" I could feel my face turning red. "It's okay, everyone does," she sighed. "That's why I'm here, Dr. Lakey. Joanna's only 2 years younger than me, but while I keep getting older and more wrinkled, she still looks like she's 30. What am I doing wrong?" I could tell this was a real point of frustration for Linda, and I truly felt for her. After all, if seeing her skin age wasn't bad enough, her sister's youthful appearance only added insult to injury. But here's the thing. At 63, Linda didn't actually look old for her age. Sure, she had noticeable wrinkles around her eyes and mouth, and the skin on her cheeks, neck, and jawline was starting to sag considerably. But these problems were extremely common among women her age. In fact, most people would consider them normal. So far as I could tell, Linda wasn't doing anything wrong. The real question was, what was Joanne doing differently? Now, if the two weren't directly related, I would have probably just chalked it up to genetics. But since they were sisters, that couldn't be the case. So I politely asked Joanne if she was sure she'd never had any work done, even if it was just a round of dermal fillers or laser treatments at a beautician's office. But she swore she hadn't. "I live in a small town, Dr. Lakey. We don't even have places that offer that sort of thing," she laughed. So I decided to ask some preliminary questions about their lifestyles, just to see if their routines differed in any way. But what I learned only left me more puzzled. Both Joanne and Linda had never smoked. They rarely drank alcohol. They both had relatively healthy diets, and while they both admitted to tanning in their teens and 20s, there's no reason why sun damage would have affected one more than the other. Moreover, they both had 2 children and similarly demanding jobs, so even their stress levels couldn't have been that different. And yet Linda's skin was starting to sag, crease, and look wilted, while Joanne's skin looked taut and lifted as ever, with barely a wrinkle in sight. It made no sense. So as a last resort, I asked Joanne to walk me through her entire daily routine step by step from the time she woke up to the time she went to bed. And finally, I had my answer. It turns out there were actually 3 things Joanne did every day that worked together to keep her appearance from aging. But the funny thing is, she didn't even know what they were until I pointed them out. So let's start with Joanne's first super ager habit. Well, actually, let me back up just a bit, because in order to fully explain the significance of it, I'll first need to tell you about something called DHT. Now, DHT is hardly a new discovery. It's a hormone that all human bodies naturally produce, so scientists have known about it for decades. But for a long time, its effect on women was largely ignored. And I'll tell you why. You see, even though virtually everyone's body starts to produce more and more DHT as they get older, this process was initially linked to baldness in men. So, since hair loss solutions are a huge moneymaker, funding for DHT research has primarily centered around studies on male pattern baldness ever since. But the truth is, DHT also plays a major role in how women look too. The only difference? In women, its effects are most visible on their skin. Now, that's not to say it can't cause thinning hair in women as well, it certainly can. But the biggest signs of increased DHT are actually loose, sagging skin, wrinkles, and loss of elasticity. Why? Because DHT inhibits your body's production of collagen. You see, collagen is the protein that keeps your skin firm, taut, and lifted. In fact, I like to think of it as your skin's primary support system, because without it, your skin would literally be unable to hold itself up. Now, your body's ability to produce collagen naturally slows down in the years before, during, and after menopause. But if it weren't for DHT, the effects wouldn't be nearly as obvious. Because just as your collagen production starts to decline, your production of collagen-blocking DHT simultaneously increases, making it even harder for your skin to fight gravity and maintain its youthful firmness. So if you're seeing sagging skin on your cheeks, neck, chin, and jawline, or loose, wobbly skin on your upper arms, DHT is likely to blame. So at this point, you're probably wondering, okay, but what does this have to do with Joanne's daily routine? Well, here's the scoop. Even though Joanne wasn't big on skincare and makeup, for the past few years, she had been taking a natural herb called saw palmetto to help thicken her hair. Now, ordinarily, saw palmetto is used to help combat hair loss in men. In fact, Joanne said it was her husband who first introduced her to it. But she loved how full and healthy it made her hair look too, so she figured, why not? But remember what I said about DHT being linked to hair loss? Well, the reason saw palmetto is such an effective solution is it helps naturally inhibit the effects of this hormone, even as your body's production of it increases with age. In fact, in human trials, people who took saw palmetto were reported to have significantly lower levels of DHT in their system than the placebo group after just 6 months. So not only was the supplement doing wonders for Joanne's hair, it was actually helping her skin stay firmer and more lifted looking too. That said, if your goal is to look younger, taking saw palmetto by itself won't do you much good. Because while it's great for stabilizing your body's natural collagen production, it doesn't make up for the collagen that's already been lost. But as luck would have it, Joanne had unwittingly been pairing it with something that does. You see, as someone who liked to stay active, she'd always made a point to take care of her joints. So a while back, she began taking 2 additional dietary supplements each morning. The first was a blend of amino acids, as it was known to support strong, healthy joint cartilage. And the second was something called dietary hyaluronic acid, which her doctor said would help keep her joints properly lubricated. But what Joanne didn't realize is, while she was taking these supplements to help support her knees, hips, and elbows, they were clearly having a dramatic effect on her skin as well. You see, amino acids are actually the primary components of collagen. So every time she took them for her joints, she was actually fueling the production of new collagen throughout her entire body. So while most women her age see their skin start to slack and droop, Joanne was seeing the opposite effects. Because not only was she less vulnerable to the skin aging effects of DHT, she was actually replenishing her skin supply of collagen each and every day. And as for that hyaluronic acid she was taking, well, that was the finishing touch that solidified her super ager status. You see, hyaluronic acid is widely used as a moisturizing agent in topical skincare products, but this ultra-hydrating natural substance also plays an important role inside your body as well. In fact, that's where it's most important. Because on top of reducing joint friction, hyaluronic acid also acts as a volumizer for your skin. Let me explain. In order for your skin to stay smooth, supple, and wrinkle-resistant, its cells have to retain ample amounts of moisture. Otherwise, they start to dry out and lose volume, which in turn causes your skin to crease, shrivel, and deflate, much like a grape turns into a raisin. Well, hyaluronic acid is kind of like a built-in moisture magnet that helps your cells retain the hydration they need to stay full and plump. The problem is our body's natural supply of hyaluronic acid gradually dries up as we get older. which results in thinning skin, wrinkles, and a lifeless complexion. So while applying hyaluronic acid topically can certainly help with these problems temporarily, taking it in dietary form has been shown to deliver astronomically better results long term. I'm not kidding. In 2017, a study confirmed that after just 8 weeks of taking a hyaluronic acid supplement, participants, quote, showed significantly diminished wrinkles compared with the placebo group. And get this, after 12 weeks, they also saw a significant improvement in skin luster and suppleness too. And the reason for this is quite simple. The most effective way to correct problems like wrinkles and dull skin, especially once you're over 40, is by moisturizing from the inside out. So even if Joanne didn't realize it, the combination of supplements she'd been taking clearly came complete with some truly age-defying side effects, because together they address the 3 biggest issues that make people appear older: sagging skin, wrinkles, and loss of radiance. But before you run out to buy these same supplements for yourself, I must warn you, while the ingredients themselves are all backed by science, I strongly discourage you from using any of the collagen, saw palmetto, or hyaluronic acid supplements currently sold in U.S. stores. You see, back in 2015, the New York State Attorney General's office ran DNA tests on 24 popular supplements sold in major retailers, including some of the most popular brands of saw palmetto, and found that 19 of them didn't contain the advertised ingredient at all. I'll say that again. The vast majority of supplements didn't contain the very thing they were claiming to supplement. But here's what's even more infuriating. Several of them were actually found to contain contaminants that were not listed on the label. Now that's absolutely appalling. And sadly, it doesn't look like things have gotten much better since this crackdown. Because after studying dozens of popular collagen, saw palmetto, and HA supplements myself recently, I discovered that they were all so diluted with fillers, there was barely a trace of the active ingredient in them. Not to mention they had extremely low permeability, meaning your body can't even fully absorb what little amount there is. So if you're wondering why Joanne's formulas were so effective, it turns out she'd been ordering them directly from laboratories in Europe at a whopping cost of over $150 per bottle. And that's not even including international shipping fees, mind you. Now, spending $500 every month to maintain this regimen might sound like a steal to my celebrity clients, but it was putting a serious strain on Joanne's finances. So I can't in good conscience recommend this option to you, because the truth is, you can actually get even more dramatic results for less than the price of a cup of coffee. That's right, I'm talking visibly firmer, more lifted-looking skin, fewer lines and wrinkles, and a beautifully radiant complexion, all in one simple step. Best of all, this is something every woman can afford to do daily, and it works at any age. So rest assured that no matter how old you are or how far your signs of aging have progressed, a younger version of yourself is possible to achieve. How, you ask? Well, in an effort to make Joanne's age-fighting regimen more accessible, my partner, Dr. Daniel Poor, and I decided to take matters into our own hands. After all, we had access to the world's best laboratories, so finding the purest and most powerful form of each ingredient wouldn't be a problem. And because we'd established good working relationships with their lead scientists, we could easily source them for a fraction of their standard cost. However, after doing some more research, we discovered that the skin-transforming effects of saw palmetto, collagen, and hyaluronic acid could actually be amplified even further with vitamins A and B. You see, B vitamins are often called the energy vitamins because they help stimulate cellular activity throughout your body. But they're also essential to helping your body absorb the amino acids in dietary collagen. So even a high-grade collagen supplement would end up working even better in its presence. Meanwhile, vitamin A helps your body use those amino acids to generate more collagen. In other words, these two nutrients basically turbocharge the age-fighting process so that skin starts to look firmer and more taut even faster. The only problem? Well, according to our calculations, these results could only be achieved if all 5 ingredients, that's collagen, saw palmetto, HA, and A and B vitamins, were consumed together every day. And let's face it, that's a lot of pills to swallow. So to make it easier to stick with the plan, we decided to try combining them into one multi-active formula instead. Now let me be clear, fusing that many high-potency ingredients is very difficult, and at least to my knowledge, it has never been done with these particular ingredients before. Nevertheless, we stepped up to the challenge, and after several months of trial and error, something extraordinary happened. Not only were we able to successfully combine all 5 nutrients without altering their potency, but our process proved to be so precise it essentially fused them into an entirely new and more powerful complex, because in test after test, its youth restoration properties vastly exceeded any supplement blend we'd seen before. In fact, we didn't even know what to call it at first, so we gave it the name Beverly Hills MD Dermal Repair Complex, because it quite literally worked to repair the appearance of aging skin with every dose. Now, at the time, we could only produce this formula in very small batches, so for the first few years, we were only able to share it with a small handful of clients. But the first people we offered it to were Linda and Joanne. In fact, we sent them a complete 6-month supply for free as a way of thanking them for inspiring this incredible discovery. And you won't believe what happened. Obviously, Joanne...
Coast. I'm thinking tomorrow I'm going to start heading north.
What I'm looking for is fresh grazing, which should be home to plenty of python fodder.